Consistency is one of the most powerful forces you can harness to change your life. Many people make the mistake of waiting for motivation to strike before taking action. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes, often depending on your mood, energy, or the circumstances of the day. Consistency, however, is a choice. It's a habit you can cultivate that will carry you through when motivation fails. When you learn to be consistent, you unlock a new level of control and progress in your life. It's consistency that builds empires, creates lasting results, and transforms dreams into reality. The good news? You can train yourself to be consistent, and the power to do so lies within you. What you need is a commitment to show up day after day, whether you feel inspired or not, and keep working toward your goals no matter what obstacles you face. Commitment is the foundation of consistency. Without commitment, your efforts will remain half-hearted, and your results will be inconsistent at best. Commitment is a decision to give something your all, regardless of how you feel at the moment. When you commit to something, you're telling yourself that this is important to you, and you'll find a way to make it happen. The first step in building consistency is to make that decision. You need to choose your path and commit to it fully. This is about deciding that your success is non-negotiable and that you won't let distractions, doubts, or setbacks stop you from achieving your goals. It's about taking ownership of your dreams and believing in your ability to create them. Once you made this commitment, the next step is to show up consistently and put in the work, even when the motivation isn't there. Because when you make a commitment, you don't wait for motivation to push you. You push yourself. One of the biggest challenges in creating consistency is a tendency to get stuck in a cycle of starting and stopping. This happens when you try to do too much too soon. You get excited about your goals, and you dive in full force, only to burn out a few weeks later. You then take a break. Tell yourself you'll start again later. But when you do, you repeat the same pattern. The key to breaking this cycle is to start small. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire life at once, focus on small, manageable changes that you can make consistently. It's the power of tiny habits. Tiny habits are the foundation upon which big changes are built. The secret is that small, consistent actions compound over time. Each tiny habit you build strengthens your resolve, creates momentum, and leads to bigger results. Starting small doesn't mean aiming low. It means giving yourself the space to grow steadily, rather than expecting overnight transformation. So, pick one habit, one small action, and make it a part of your daily routine. Then, when that becomes second nature, add another. Over time, you'll find that these small changes lead to dramatic improvements in your life. You may find it easy to start new habits, but consistency becomes challenging when life gets busy or you face setbacks. When this happens, it's important to remember that consistency isn't about perfection. It's about showing up even when things aren't perfect. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if you miss one day or one task, all is lost. But the truth is, life is messy and we all face challenges. What matters most is not that you never falter, but that you get back on track quickly. Don't let one mistake or one missed opportunity derail your entire progress. Instead of focusing on the setbacks, refocus on the next step. Consistency is about building a habit of showing up, not about being flawless. Every time you get back up after a slip-up, you're strengthening your consistency muscle. Sometimes, staying consistent can feel exhausting, and you may wonder if it's even worth it. But the truth is, persistence pays off. Even when it feels like you're not making progress, the work you're doing is accumulating in the background. Think about the efforts of someone training for a marathon. They don't see massive changes in the first few days, but every run they complete, no matter how small, brings them closer to their goal. Consistency builds results that might not be immediately visible, but over time, they create momentum that propels you forward. There are going to be times when you feel like giving up. During those moments, remind yourself that the only way you fail is if you stop trying. It's the persistence to keep going even when the progress is slow that will eventually lead to success. Consistency isn't about being fast or perfect. It's about never giving up. Consistency is also about discipline. Discipline is what keeps you on track when motivation isn't there. It's what drives you to do the work even when you don't feel like it. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's a muscle you can strengthen over time. You don't have to have perfect discipline from day one, but you can develop it by taking small, consistent actions. When you strengthen your discipline muscle, it becomes easier to keep moving forward, even when life gets tough. Start by setting clear boundaries for yourself and sticking to them. If you've committed to a goal, make sure your actions align with that commitment. Set aside time each day for the activities that matter most, and hold yourself accountable for following through. The more you practice discipline, the easier it will become, and the more natural consistency will feel. Sometimes, the hardest part of consistency is simply getting started. We often procrastinate because we feel overwhelmed by the size of the task ahead. But you don't have to tackle everything all at once. Just take the first step. It can be as simple as setting a timer for 5 minutes and committing to work for that short period. Often, once you start, the momentum will carry you further than you expected. The key is to get started, no matter how small the action. Over time, you'll find that these small starts add up to big results. Don't wait for the perfect moment to begin. Just start now. The first step is always the hardest, but once you've taken it, the rest becomes much easier. Another crucial aspect of consistency is accountability. Having someone to hold you accountable can significantly increase your chances of success. When you're accountable to someone, whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a coach, you're more likely to show up and put in the work. Accountability helps keep you motivated, especially when your willpower is low. It also provides you with an outside perspective, which can help you stay on track and avoid distractions. If you're struggling to stay consistent, find someone who can check in with you regularly and hold you to your commitments. Sharing your progress with others can be incredibly motivating and also gives you the opportunity to celebrate your wins along the way. Finally, remember that consistency is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing it regularly. Even if you miss a day, it doesn't mean you failed. What matters is that you get back to it as soon as possible. The more you practice consistency, the easier it becomes, and the more natural it will feel. Over time, consistency becomes second nature, and you'll find that you no longer need motivation to stay on track. You'll have created a habit that's as automatic as breathing. By committing to consistency, you unlock the key to achieving your goals, making progress, and ultimately, creating the life you desire. One of the most powerful tools in building consistency is understanding why you've struggled with it in the first place. The truth is, most of us have tried to be consistent before, but somewhere along the way, we fell off track. Perhaps we set big, ambitious goals without breaking them down into smaller, manageable steps, or maybe we got caught up in excitement of new ideas and couldn't sustain the initial momentum. The root of the issue often lies in our mindset and approach. We expect instant results, and when things don't happen as quickly as we like, we give up. The problem with this is that consistency doesn't happen overnight. It's not about getting quick results, but rather about steady, persistent action over time. To overcome this struggle, you need to change your approach and reset your expectations. Instead of focusing on the outcome, focus on the process. When you prioritize the act of showing up and doing the work, the results will come as a natural byproduct. One major roadblock to consistency is the fear of failure. Most of us are terrified of not succeeding or falling short of our goals, and this fear can stop us from even trying. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of consistency. It's part of the process. Every successful person has failed at some point, but what sets them apart is their ability to keep going despite those failures. When you fail, it's not a reason to quit. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. Each time you fail and get back on track, you're strengthening your resolve and building consistency that will ultimately lead to your success. So, instead of avoiding failure, embrace it, learn from it, adapt, and move forward. Consistency isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about how you respond to them. Another reason we struggle with consistency is the overwhelming amount of distractions in our daily lives. Whether it's social media, endless notifications, or the demands of work and family, distractions are everywhere. They pull us away from our goals and make it harder to stay focused on the tasks that matter. The key to staying consistent is to minimize these distractions as much as possible. Set clear boundaries for yourself. Whether it's turning off your phone during work hours, blocking out specific time for focused tasks, or creating a quiet space where you can work uninterrupted. When you remove distractions and create an environment conducive to focus, it becomes much easier to stay consistent in your actions. It's not about avoiding distractions entirely, which is impossible, but rather about creating the right conditions to do your best work. A lack of clear goals and direction is another factor that undermines consistency. When you don't have a clear sense of purpose or direction, it's easy to drift from one task to another without making meaningful progress. Consistency requires a clear vision of what you're working toward. Without this, you'll struggle to stay motivated and focused. Take the time to define what success looks like for you. Break down your goals into smaller, actionable steps and track your progress along the way. Having a clear roadmap will help you stay on course and ensure your actions are aligned with your long-term vision. When you can see the bigger picture, it becomes easier to stay consistent because you'll understand how each small step contributes to the overall goal. The concept of delayed gratification is another important factor in building consistency. Many people struggle with the instant gratification culture that surrounds us, where we want results right now. But true success comes from the ability to delay gratification and keep working toward your goals, even when the rewards aren't immediate. This requires patience and a long-term perspective. To stay consistent, remind yourself that the hard work you're putting in today will pay off tomorrow. Whether it's building a business, getting in shape, or developing a new skill, the progress you make each day compounds over time. Trust the process and understand that the rewards are often delayed but worth the wait. It's also important to understand that consistency doesn't mean perfection. In fact, trying to be perfect can actually undermine your consistency. Perfectionism leads to procrastination because it creates an unrealistic standard. If you're waiting for the perfect conditions or the perfect moment to take action, you'll never get started. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for progress. Consistency is about showing up and doing the work, even when it's messy or imperfect. Embrace the process of learning and improving as you go. It's better to make progress, even if it's imperfect, than to wait for everything to be perfect before you start. The small, consistent actions you take today will lead to growth, even if they aren't flawless. In order to break free from these struggles and build lasting consistency, you need to adopt a mindset of self-compassion. Too often, we beat ourselves up when we fall short of our goals. But this negative self-talk only fuels a cycle of inconsistency. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend. When you slip up, acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on. Consistency is about getting back on track, not about being perfect from the start. Self-compassion allows you to approach setbacks with a growth mindset rather than one of defeat. This shift in mindset will help you keep going, even when things get tough. Building consistency requires self-awareness. By understanding why you've struggled in the past, you can identify the areas where you need to improve and take proactive steps to address them. Whether it's addressing your fear of failure, minimizing distractions, or developing a clearer vision, you have the power to overcome the obstacles that have held you back. The key is to take small, consistent actions toward your goals every day and keep learning and adapting along the way. The more you practice consistency, the easier it becomes, and the more natural it will feel. You've already taken the first step by acknowledging that consistency is important. Now it's time to put into practice and make it a permanent part of your life. Starting small is one of the most important steps you can take toward building lasting consistency. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you try to make drastic changes in your life all at once. You might think that in order to make a real difference, you need to overhaul everything right now. But the truth is, small steps can lead to massive results over time. Instead of focusing on everything you want to change at once, start by choosing one small habit or action that you can commit to consistently. It might be something as simple as drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, reading for 10 minutes a day, or setting aside just 15 minutes for exercise. These small actions are the foundation for bigger habits that will eventually transform your life. The beauty of starting small is that it reduces the pressure. When you set a goal that's small and achievable, you're more likely to stick with it. Big goals can be intimidating, and when you don't see immediate results, it's easy to get discouraged. But small goals are different. They're easy to start, they don't feel overwhelming, and they're achievable on a daily basis. As you succeed with small habits, you gain momentum and confidence. You start to realize that consistency isn't as hard as you thought. It's just about showing up and taking one small step after another. Another benefit of starting small is that it helps you build confidence in your ability to stick to your goals. Often we fail to be consistent because we doubt ourselves. We believe that we won't be able to sustain the effort required to achieve our goals. But when you start small and succeed, it builds your belief in your own abilities. You realize that you can be consistent, even with the smallest tasks, and that success is within your reach. This confidence will serve as a foundation for tackling bigger challenges as you move forward. When you start small, you also make it easier to build momentum. Momentum is a powerful force that keeps you moving forward, even on the days when you don't feel like it. Think about pushing a boulder up a hill. The first few pushes are the hardest, but once the boulder starts rolling, it's much easier to keep it going. The same is true for building consistency in your life. Once you develop the habit of taking small, consistent actions, you'll find that it becomes easier to maintain progress. You'll start to see results, which will motivate you to keep going. Small wins add up, and over time, they lead to big changes. Of course, starting small doesn't mean you should settle for mediocrity. Small actions should still be intentional and meaningful. Don't fall into the trap of doing things just for the sake of doing them. The key is to find something that matters to you and build consistency around it. For example, instead of committing to exercise just because it's a popular goal, think about why exercise matters to you personally. Is it about feeling healthier? Is it about gaining energy? When you connect your small actions to a bigger purpose, they become more meaningful and you'll be more likely to stay consistent. Over time, as your small habits become ingrained in your routine, you can start to build on them. Once you've mastered one habit, add another, and then another. This approach helps you avoid the feeling of being overwhelmed by trying to change everything at once. By gradually building on your success, you'll continue to strengthen your ability to be consistent. Each new habit becomes easier to incorporate because you've already proven to yourself that you can stick to the smaller ones. This cumulative effect is what allows small changes to have a massive impact over time. But what if you slip up? What if you miss a day or break your streak? It's important to remember that consistency doesn't mean perfection. If you fall short of your goal, don't beat yourself up. Instead, use it as an opportunity to refocus and get back on track. The key is not to let one mistake turn into a reason to give up altogether. When you embrace the idea of starting small, you also learn how to bounce back quickly from setbacks. Every day is a new opportunity to try again, and every moment is a chance to get closer to your goal. Another powerful reason to start small is that it allows you to build habits that last. Quick fixes and drastic changes are often unsustainable in the long run. When you try to make huge changes too quickly, you're more likely to burn out or get discouraged when you don't see results right away. Small habits, on the other hand, are easier to stick with because they don't require massive effort. They become part of your daily routine, and before you know it, they're second nature. This is the difference between short-term success and long-term transformation. Small actions, practiced consistently, create lasting change. Starting small also makes it easier to track your progress. You don't need complex systems or elaborate plans to measure your success. When you commit to one small action, you can easily check whether you completed it each day. This simplicity allows you to celebrate each win, no matter how small, and stay motivated to continue. The more you track your progress, the more you'll see how small actions add up over time. It's not about achieving a huge goal right away. It's about consistently doing the work, step by step. One of the keys to success with small habits is setting realistic expectations. Don't expect to change everything at once, and don't expect instant results. Change takes time, and the process of building habits is gradual. Allow yourself to progress at a pace that feels sustainable and celebrate your progress along the way. When you approach change with patience and consistency, you're far more likely to succeed in the long term. Consistency isn't about taking huge leaps every day. It's about taking small, deliberate steps that add up over time. By starting small and focusing on achievable habits, you lay the foundation for lasting success. The key is to commit to the process, not just the outcome. Trust that if you stay consistent with small actions, the results will follow. As you build momentum, your confidence will grow, and your ability to stick to your goals will strengthen. Over time, these small habits will lead to big changes, and the person you become along the way will be the biggest reward of all. Building a consistent work ethic is crucial if you want to achieve long-term success in any area of your life. A strong work ethic doesn't mean working harder or longer hours than everyone else. It's about developing habits and strategies that help you produce your best work consistently, day in and day out. A consistent work ethic is what keeps you focused and productive, even when motivation is low or obstacles arise. It's about showing up, doing the work, and staying committed to your goals, regardless of how you feel in the moment. One of the first steps to developing a consistent work ethic is establishing clear goals and priorities. If you don't know what you're working toward, it's easy to lose focus and get sidetracked. Setting clear, specific goals gives you a sense of direction and purpose. You can break these goals down into smaller, manageable tasks and tackle them one by one. The key is to stay focused on the bigger picture, while also paying attention to the small tasks that will get you there. A consistent work ethic isn't about doing everything all at once, but about consistently taking small, deliberate steps toward your objectives. Another important aspect of building a consistent work ethic is creating a routine. Routines provide structure and help you stay disciplined in your efforts. When you have a set routine, it becomes easy to stay on track and make progress, even on days when you're not feeling particularly motivated. Your routine should be designed around the tasks that are most important to your goals. If you know you need to work on a specific project or habit, make sure to carve out time for it each day. The more you make these tasks a regular part of your routine, the more they become ingrained in your daily life, making it easier to stay consistent. Discipline plays a huge role in developing a consistent work ethic. Discipline is what allows you to push through the resistance that comes when you don't feel like working. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you'd rather do something else. Discipline is something that can be developed over time, and it starts with small, consistent actions. If you're struggling with discipline, start by making a commitment to yourself and holding yourself accountable. Set a specific time each day to work on your goals, and stick to it, no matter what. Even on days when you're not feeling up to it, show up and do the work. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes, and the easier it is to stay consistent. It's also important to recognize that consistency in your work ethic doesn't mean sacrificing quality for quantity. Working long hours or constantly staying busy doesn't guarantee success. What matters more is the quality of the work you put in and how focused and intentional you are when you're working. Sometimes taking a break or stepping away from a task can help you recharge and come back with a fresh perspective, which can actually lead to better work. Consistency is about staying productive over the long term, and that often requires balancing hard work with self-care. In the pursuit of consistency, it's easy to fall into the trap of perfectionism, but perfectionism can be a major obstacle to developing a strong work ethic. The desire to do everything perfectly can paralyze you and make it harder to take action. Instead of striving for perfection, focus on progress. It's better to make consistent, incremental improvements over time than to wait for the perfect conditions or the perfect result. If you're waiting for everything to be flawless before taking action, you'll never get started. The key is to keep working, keep improving, and trust that progress will follow. Building a consistent work ethic also requires resilience. There will be times when things don't go as planned, when you face setbacks, or when you feel like giving up. Resilience is what helps you bounce back from these challenges and stay focused on your goals. When you develop resilience, you don't let failures or obstacles derail your progress. Instead, you see them as learning opportunities and continue pushing forward. Every challenge you face and overcome makes you stronger, and it's through these experiences that you build the mental toughness needed to maintain consistency. One of the most effective ways to stay consistent in your work is to break your tasks into smaller, manageable pieces. Large projects or big goals can feel overwhelming, and it's easy to procrastinate when you don't know where to start. By breaking your work into smaller, more digestible tasks, you make it easier to take action. Each small task completed brings you one step closer to your bigger goal, and the sense of accomplishment from completing these smaller tasks helps build momentum. This process allows you to stay focused and productive without feeling overwhelmed. Accountability is another key factor in building a consistent work ethic. When you're accountable to someone else, whether the boss, a colleague, or a friend, you're more likely to stay committed to your work. Accountability helps keep you on track and motivated, especially when you're struggling to stay consistent on your own. If you don't have someone to hold you accountable, find a way to hold yourself responsible. Track your progress, set deadlines, and celebrate your wins along the way. The more you make yourself accountable, the more likely you are to stay consistent and continue making progress. Finally, remember that building a consistent work ethic is a long-term process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it requires dedication and perseverance. The key is to keep showing up and doing the work, even when things get tough. Each day you put in the effort, no matter how small, adds up to significant progress over time. A consistent work ethic isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about consistently putting in the effort and staying focused on your goals. When you develop a strong work ethic, you'll be able to tackle any challenge, stay consistent in your actions, and ultimately achieve the success you desire. Discipline is one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal when it comes to staying consistent. It's the bridge between your goals and your accomplishments, and without it, consistency becomes a distant dream. Discipline isn't about being strict with yourself or punishing yourself for mistakes. It's about making intentional choices that align with your goals, even when the temptation to do something else is strong. It's the ability to push through discomfort, distractions, and doubts, and stay focused on the task at hand. The good news is that discipline is something you can develop over time with practice, patience, and commitment. To begin developing discipline, it's important to start small. Just like consistency, discipline is built through small, manageable actions that you repeat consistently. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it becomes, and the easier it is to stay focused on your goals. Start by identifying one area of your life where you want to build more discipline, whether it's exercising, studying, or working on a personal project. Choose a simple action that you can commit to every day, no matter what. For example, if you're trying to build a disciplined workout routine, start by committing to a 10-minute workout each day. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself. It's to create a habit that you can stick to, even when life gets busy or distractions arise. As you master this small habit, you'll build the discipline to take on bigger challenges. One of the most effective ways to develop discipline is to create a system or routine that supports it. Routines provide structure and make it easier to stay consistent. When you have a set routine, it becomes easier to stay on track and make progress, even on days when you're not feeling particularly motivated. Your routine should be designed around the tasks that are most important to your goals. If you know you need to work on a specific project or habit, make sure to carve out time for it each day. The more you make these tasks a regular part of your routine, the more they become ingrained in your daily life, making it easier to stay consistent. For example, if you want to improve your productivity, create a morning routine that sets the tone for the rest of your day. Whether it's meditation, journaling, or planning your day, having a routine in place can help you start your day with purpose and clarity. By making these actions part of your daily schedule, you're not relying on motivation or willpower alone. You are relying on a structure that makes it easier to stay disciplined. Discipline also requires making tough choices. In order to stay focused on your goals, you may have to say no to things that are tempting or distracting. This could mean turning off your phone during work hours, avoiding social media when you're supposed to be studying, or setting boundaries with people who are constantly interrupting you. Saying no to distractions is a key part of building discipline. It's about making intentional choices that align with your goals and prioritizing the tasks that will move you closer to success. Saying no doesn't mean you're being selfish. It means you're being intentional with your time and energy. Another important aspect of developing discipline is learning to manage your emotions. It's natural to feel unmotivated or tired at times, but discipline is about doing the work even when you don't feel like it. When you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, it becomes much harder to stay consistent. Instead, discipline requires you to separate your feelings from your actions. Even if you're feeling tired or uninspired, you commit to doing the work anyway. Over time, you'll find that your emotions become less of a barrier, and your ability to stay disciplined will become stronger. This emotional management can be tough, but it's a powerful way to ensure you stick to your commitments. Think of it like training your mind to continue the course despite challenges. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or ignoring your mental health. On the contrary, self-discipline is about recognizing when emotions get in the way of progress and finding ways to push through despite them. You can use techniques like breathing exercises, mindfulness, or even taking short breaks to manage overwhelming emotions and reset your mindset. One of the biggest challenges of discipline is a temptation to give up when things get difficult. Building discipline isn't easy, and there will be days when you want to quit. The key is to keep going, even when it feels hard. Discipline is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about making the choice to stay consistent, even when the going gets tough. When you keep going, you develop mental toughness and resilience, which only strengthens your discipline. Remind yourself that the discomfort you're experiencing now is temporary, and the results will be worth the effort in the long run. Tracking your progress is another powerful tool in developing discipline. When you track your progress, you can see how far you've come and stay motivated to keep going. Whether you're tracking your workouts, your work habits, or your personal goals, having a visual representation of your progress helps reinforce your discipline. It reminds you of the effort you've already put in and encourages you to stay consistent. Tracking progress also gives you the opportunity to celebrate small wins along the way, which can provide the motivation to continue. For example, if your goal is to read more books, track the number of pages you read each day. When you see the accumulation of pages, you'll feel a sense of accomplishment that encourages you to keep going. Small wins are powerful motivators, and when you recognize and celebrate them, you strengthen your resolve to keep working toward your goals. Sometimes, the key to discipline is making the work more enjoyable. When we think of discipline, we often think of something rigid and unpleasant. But discipline doesn't have to feel like a punishment. Find ways to make the tasks you're working on more enjoyable or rewarding. For example, if you're working on a project you're passionate about, remind yourself of why it's important to you. If you're trying to stick to a fitness routine, find exercises that you enjoy doing. When you enjoy the process, it becomes much easier to stay disciplined and consistent. The more fun you have with your work, the less you'll feel like you're forcing yourself to do it. Resilience also plays a significant role in discipline. There will be times when you face setbacks or failures, and it's important to develop the ability to bounce back quickly. Resilience allows you to stay disciplined, even when things don't go as planned. Instead of getting discouraged or giving up, resilient people use setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow. They don't let failures define them. They let them propel them forward. The ability to be resilient in the face of challenges is one of the key components of discipline. Lastly, remember that discipline is a lifelong practice. It's not something that you develop overnight, and it's not something that will come naturally at first. But the more you practice discipline, the easier it becomes, and the more natural it will feel. It's about creating habits and systems that support your goals and consistently doing the work, even when it feels difficult. Over time, discipline becomes second nature, and you'll find that you don't have to rely on motivation to get things done. Instead, your discipline habits will carry you toward success, no matter what life throws your way. By focusing on small, consistent actions and developing systems that support your discipline, you can create lasting habits that will propel you toward your goals. It won't be easy, and there will be moments of doubt or struggle, but with perseverance and a commitment to your discipline, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. The key is to stay consistent, keep tracking your progress, and stay committed, even when it feels tough. Discipline doesn't mean you'll never feel challenged. It means you'll keep moving forward no matter the obstacles. And it's through that persistence that you'll find success. Consistency often becomes most challenging when life gets tough, when obstacles seem insurmountable, or when the excitement of a new project starts to fade. But it's precisely in these moments that consistency proves its greatest value. When things get hard, consistency is what keeps you going. It's the ability to stay on track and maintain your efforts, even when it feels like progress is slowed or when you're unsure if the struggle is worth it. Overcoming challenges is a key part of building lasting consistency, and it's often these very challenges that define your success. The first step to maintaining consistency through adversity is understanding that setbacks are inevitable. Life isn't a straight path. It's filled with detours, roadblocks, and unexpected detours. There will be times when things don't go as planned, when the outcome is not what you hoped for, or when you find yourself overwhelmed by stress or distractions. However, these setbacks don't have to derail your progress. In fact, they can serve as powerful learning experiences that contribute to your growth. The key is to view setbacks not as failures, but as temporary roadblocks that can be navigated with persistence. One way to stay consistent when faced with adversity is by shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable problems, view them as challenges to overcome. Every challenge is an opportunity to develop new skills, strengthen your resolve, and build resilience. When you embrace this mindset, setbacks become less discouraging. Instead of feeling defeated, you'll start to look for ways to solve the problem, learn from it, and adjust your course accordingly. This shift in perspective helps you stay consistent because you focus on the solution, not the problem. Another essential strategy for maintaining consistency during difficult times is to break down your goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. When things get tough, large goals can feel overwhelming, especially when you can't see immediate results. Breaking your goals down into bite-sized pieces allows you to maintain momentum, even in the face of adversity. Focus on taking one step at a time and celebrate each small win along the way. These small victories help you stay motivated and give you the encouragement to keep going, even when the bigger picture seems distant. It's also important to have a support system in place during challenging times. When you're struggling, having people around you who encourage and hold you accountable can make all the difference. Whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a colleague, having someone to lean on for advice or motivation can help you stay consistent, even when things aren't going well. Don't be afraid to reach out for support when you need it. Sometimes, just talking to someone about the challenges you're facing can help you gain perspective and find new ways to approach your goals. At times, you may need to adjust your expectations and be kinder to yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you should always be making progress at the same rate, but life doesn't always work that way. If you're dealing with a particularly difficult period, whether it's personal, professional, or health-related, it's important to acknowledge that things may not always move at the pace you originally planned. Be flexible with your expectations and give yourself the space to adapt. Building consistency doesn't mean pushing yourself beyond your limits. It means continuing to show up even when you can't give 100%. During tough times, even showing up 50% of the time can be an impressive act of resilience. Sometimes, adversity also forces you to reassess your goals and strategies. Life is dynamic, and as circumstances change, it may be necessary to adjust your approach to ensure you stay on track. If your goals no longer feel relevant or achievable given your current situation, take time to reassess and recalibrate. Flexibility in your goals is a vital aspect of staying consistent over time. This doesn't mean giving up on your long-term vision. It simply means being willing to pivot when necessary in order to keep making progress. When facing challenges, another effective tool for maintaining consistency is the practice of self-compassion. It's easy to be harsh on yourself when things aren't going as planned, but self-criticism only adds to the stress and can cause you to give up altogether. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong, practice kindness toward yourself. Remind yourself that setbacks are normal, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that progress is often nonlinear. Self-compassion helps you bounce back more quickly and gives you the emotional strength to keep going. Moreover, consistency in the face of adversity often requires patience. Many people give up too soon because they expect fast results, but real success comes from continued, sustained effort. Remember that the road to achievement is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Patience is a crucial ingredient in building lasting success. The more you cultivate patience, the more resilient you become when faced with challenges. Trust that your efforts will pay off in the end, even if you can't see immediate results. The key is to keep putting in the work and trust the process. It's also helpful to revisit your reasons for wanting to succeed during tough times. Why did you set this goal in the first place? What motivated you to begin? When things get hard, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. Reconnecting with your why can reignite your passion and remind you of why you started in the first place. This sense of purpose will help you stay consistent, even when you feel like quitting. Another practical tip for staying consistent when times are tough is to maintain a clear focus on your priorities. When life throws multiple challenges at you, it's easy to get distracted by everything that's going wrong. However, it's crucial to stay focused on the tasks that will help you move forward. Prioritize the most important actions each day, and don't let less critical distractions get in the way. Focus your energy on what matters, and make sure that even when times are tough, you're dedicating some part of your day to moving toward your goals. Lastly, remember that consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up during difficult times. Your ability to be consistent will often depend on your willingness to simply keep going. Even if progress is slow, even if your work isn't perfect, the fact that you keep showing up will create momentum. With every effort, no matter how small, you build the resilience and strength needed to overcome adversity and continue making progress toward your goals. Keep in mind that every challenge you face and overcome is a step forward in building consistency that will eventually lead to your success. Motivation is often seen as the driving force behind success. We wait for a surge of excitement or an inspiring moment to push us toward our goals, thinking that motivation will fuel our actions and help us stay consistent. But the reality is that motivation is fleeting. It's not something you can rely on consistently. Some days, motivation will be there, and you'll feel like you're on top of the world, but other days, it won't be there at all. It's on those days when motivation is absent that consistency is most important. The truth is, consistency is the real key to success. It's the ability to keep going, even when motivation is nowhere to be found. Relying on motivation alone is a dangerous game. If you wait for motivation to strike before you take action, you'll find yourself constantly chasing after that initial spark, never fully achieving the consistency you need to reach your goals. Motivation is powerful, but it's not sustainable in the long term. If you want to build lasting consistency, you have to create it for yourself. The best way to do this is to develop habits and routines that allow you to keep moving forward, regardless of how motivated you feel at any given moment. The first step in building consistency without relying on motivation is to establish systems that make it easier to show up every day. Systems take the decision-making out of the equation. When you have a set routine or structure in place, you don't need to rely on your willpower to get started each day. You simply follow the plan, whether or not you feel inspired. This makes it easier to stay consistent because you remove the mental energy required to decide what to do next. Instead of waiting for motivation to kick in, you create a structure that ensures you stay on track. By establishing a routine and committing to it, you make consistency a non-negotiable part of your life. For example, if your goal is to build a regular exercise routine, don't wait for motivation to work out. Instead, commit to a specific time each day to work out and make it a part of your daily routine. Over time, it becomes a habit that you simply do, regardless of how you feel that day. The same goes for other goals, whether it's writing, studying, or working on a personal project. Creating a set time for your tasks helps you stay consistent even when motivation is low. Another way to stay consistent without motivation is to break your larger goals into smaller, manageable tasks. Motivation is strongest when we first set a goal, but as time goes on, that excitement can fade. When you break your goal down into smaller steps, it becomes easier to focus on one thing at a time instead of feeling overwhelmed by the bigger picture. Each smaller task becomes a mini goal, and checking off each one helps you build momentum. The key is to focus on taking small actions toward your goal every day. This steady progress will keep you moving forward, even when motivation is nowhere to be found. For example, if your goal is to write a book, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, break the task into manageable chunks. Set a goal to write a certain number of words each day and make it a part of your routine. Whether you feel motivated or not, you can still take action and make progress. Over time, those small daily writing sessions will add up to a finished manuscript. Another powerful strategy for staying consistent is to focus on habits, not results. When we focus solely on the outcome, we often get discouraged if things don't happen as quickly as we'd like. This is especially true when motivation is low. But if you shift your focus from the end result to the actions that will get you there, consistency becomes much easier. Instead of worry about how much progress you made or how long it's taking, focus on doing the work every day, regardless of the outcome. The more you focus on the process and the habits that will get you there, the more consistent you'll become. For example, if you want to get in shape, don't obsess over the number on the scale. Instead, focus on building the habit of exercising every day. Track your workouts, celebrate the consistency, and trust that the results will follow. When you focus on habits rather than results, you take the pressure off yourself and make it easier to stay consistent. Habit stacking is another great technique for building consistency. Habit stacking involves attaching a new habit to an existing one. This makes it easier to integrate new behaviors into your routine because you're leveraging habits you've already established. For example, if you already have a habit of drinking coffee every morning, you can stack a new habit, like doing a 5-minute stretch routine immediately after your coffee. The existing habit of drinking coffee acts as a trigger for the new habit, making it easier to stick to. Over time, you can stack multiple habits together, building a consistent routine without relying on motivation. Accountability also plays a huge role in staying consistent. When you're accountable to someone else, you're more likely to stick to your commitments. Whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a colleague, having someone checking on your progress can help you stay on track, especially on days when motivation is lacking. Accountability provides external pressure to show up and do the work, even when you don't feel like it. If you don't have someone to hold you accountable, find ways to hold yourself accountable. Track your progress, set deadlines, and celebrate your achievements. When you make yourself accountable, you increase your chances of staying consistent. Another important strategy for creating consistency is tracking your progress. When you track your efforts, you can visually see how far you've come, and that can be incredibly motivating. Tracking doesn't have to be complicated. Whether you use a journal, a calendar, or an app, having a record of your progress helps you stay focused and reinforces your commitment to consistency. When you see your small wins add up, it gives you the encouragement to keep going, even when motivation is low. Moreover, you need to understand that motivation often follows action. People often believe that they need to feel motivated before they can start working, but the truth is, taking action often creates motivation. When you start working on your goal, you build momentum, and that momentum fuels your motivation. The key is to take action, even when you don't feel motivated. Once you begin, you'll often find that motivation follows. Finally, remember that consistency is about progress, not perfection. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you need to be perfect in order to succeed, but perfectionism can actually hinder your consistency because it causes you to procrastinate or get discouraged when things don't go perfectly. Instead of striving for perfection, aim for progress. Even if your actions aren't flawless, the important thing is that you keep showing up and doing the work. Each day you stay consistent, even with imperfect action, brings you one step closer to your goal. Consistency is the true key to success, and while motivation can provide a temporary boost, it's not a reliable long-term strategy. By creating systems, breaking down goals into manageable tasks, focusing on habits, and building accountability, you can create a consistent routine that doesn't rely on motivation. With practice and persistence, consistency will become second nature, and you'll find yourself making progress every day, no matter how motivated you feel. One of the most common mistakes people make when trying to build consistency is expecting instant results. We live in a world that thrives on immediate gratification, fast food, instant streaming, rapid communication. And because of this, we often expect our goals and dreams to materialize just as quickly. However, the path to lasting success is rarely immediate. The key to true consistency is understanding that results take time and that the small, everyday actions you take are what will ultimately lead to your success. Consistency is about showing up every day, putting in the work, and trusting the process, even when you don't see immediate results. When we expect instant results, we set ourselves up for disappointment. It's easy to get discouraged if we don't see rapid progress, especially when we're working toward long-term goals like building a business, getting fit, or mastering a new skill. It's important to remind yourself that success is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when progress feels slow, and you may even feel like you're not moving forward at all. This is when consistency truly matters. The work you do today, even if it feels insignificant, is contributing to a larger picture that will come together over time. In order to stay consistent, it's crucial to shift your mindset from focusing on immediate results to focusing on long-term growth. This means understanding that each small step you take is important and contributes to your overall goal, even if it doesn't yield immediate results. It's easy to become obsessed with instant feedback, but consistency requires patience. Instead of measuring success by how quickly you achieve your goals, measure it by the effort you put in every day, no matter how small. The results will come, but they often come much later than we expect. And this is why consistency is key. Another way to maintain consistency despite the lack of instant results is to celebrate small wins along the way. Every step you take toward your goal, no matter how tiny, deserves to be acknowledged. Celebrating small wins not only keeps you motivated, but also reinforces the habit of consistency. These small wins help you see progress even when the larger goal feels distant, and they provide the encouragement you need to keep going. For example, if you're working on a fitness goal, celebrate each workout completed, each healthy meal choice, and each improvement in your strength or endurance. These small victories build momentum and help you stay consistent, even when the big picture feels far out of reach. One common trap people fall into is comparing themselves to others. It's easy to look at someone else who seems to be progressing faster or achieving more and feel discouraged. However, comparing your journey to someone else's is a surefire way to derail your consistency. Everyone's journey is different, and the path to success looks different for everyone. When you compare yourself to others, you lose sight of your own progress and diminish your self-confidence. Instead of focusing on what others are doing, focus on your own journey. Be proud of the progress you've made, and trust that your consistent effort will eventually get you to where you want to go. It's also important to recognize that consistency doesn't mean you have to be perfect every day. There will be days when you miss a workout, skip a task, or fall off track for any number of reasons. This is normal, and it doesn't mean you failed. What matters is that you don't let one missed day derail your entire progress. Consistency is about getting back on track as quickly as possible and continuing to put in the effort, even when things don't go as planned. When you accept that setbacks are part of the process, you stop expecting perfection and start embracing progress. The key is to get back up, refocus, and keep moving forward. Building consistency is also about creating a supportive environment. The people around you, your surroundings, and your habits all play a role in how consistently you can show up for your goals. If your environment is filled with distractions or negativity, it will be harder to stay consistent. On the other hand, if your environment supports your goals and encourages your growth, it becomes easier to stay focused and consistent. This might mean creating a designated workspace for your projects, surrounding yourself with people who uplift and encourage you, or even eliminating distractions like social media during work hours. The more you tailor your environment to support your consistency, the more likely you are to keep showing up and putting in the work. In addition to creating a supportive environment, having accountability partners can significantly improve your consistency. When you're held accountable to someone else, it adds an extra layer of motivation to stay consistent. Whether it's a friend, family member, or colleague, having someone checking on your progress helps you stay on track, especially during times when motivation is low. Accountability partners can also offer valuable feedback and support, which helps you stay focused and encouraged as you continue working toward your goals. One of the most powerful ways to build consistency is by setting clear, achievable goals. When you have a clear vision of what you want to achieve, it becomes easier to stay focused on the actions that will get you there. The key is to break your larger goals into smaller, more manageable tasks. This way, you can take consistent action every day, making steady progress toward your ultimate goal. For example, if your goal is to write a book, don't focus on writing the entire book at once. Instead, break it down into chapters or even smaller sections. Set daily or weekly writing targets that you can consistently meet, and over time, the book will begin to take shape. It's also important to keep your goals flexible. Life doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes you may need to adjust your approach. Being too rigid with your goals can lead to frustration and burnout. Flexibility allows you to adapt when obstacles arise, and it gives you the space to change your strategy if necessary. Remember, consistency doesn't mean doing the same thing every day, regardless of circumstances. It means staying committed to your goals while being flexible enough to adjust your approach when needed. Finally, remember that building consistency is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight, and there will be times when it feels like progress is slow or even non-existent. However, each day you show up, put in the effort, and keep moving forward, you are building the habits that will eventually lead to success. Trust in the process, and trust that your consistent efforts will pay off in the long run. The results may take time, but with each step you take, you're getting closer to your goal. Keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and stay focused on a long-term vision. Consistency is what will carry you through to success. When we think about consistency, we often focus on external behaviors, showing up every day, completing tasks, and making progress toward our goals. However, the most crucial aspect of consistency lies in your mindset. Consistency is not just about what you do, but also about how you think. The way you approach challenges, setbacks, and even successes will determine whether or not you can maintain consistency over time. Without the right mindset, you may find yourself easily derailed by obstacles or discouraged when progress seems slow. Building a consistent mindset is essential to ensuring that your efforts are sustainable and that you can keep showing up even on the tough days. A consistent mindset starts with developing a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed over time through hard work, dedication, and learning. When you have a growth mindset, you embrace challenges as opportunities to learn rather than as threats to your success. You're not afraid to fail because you understand that failure is simply part of the process. You see each mistake as a lesson, not a reason to give up. This mindset helps you stay consistent because you view setbacks not as evidence of your limitations, but as stepping stones to your ultimate success. On the other hand, a fixed mindset, the belief that your abilities are static and cannot be changed, can sabotage your consistency. With a fixed mindset, you may avoid challenges because you fear failure or believe that your efforts won't make a difference. If something doesn't come easily to you, you may give up quickly, believing that you're not cut out for it. A fixed mindset limits your potential and makes it difficult to stay consistent over time. To build lasting consistency, you need to cultivate a growth mindset that encourages resilience, learning, and a willingness to embrace difficulties as part of your growth process. Another key aspect of building a consistent mindset is developing self-compassion. Often, when we fail or fall off track, we're our own harshest critics. We beat ourselves up for not being perfect or for making mistakes. But this negative self-talk only reinforces the cycle of inconsistency. If you're constantly criticizing yourself, you're less likely to get back on track quickly after a setback. Instead of beating yourself up, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend. When you make a mistake or face a challenge, acknowledge it, learn from it, and then move forward with a positive attitude. Self-compassion allows you to maintain a consistent mindset because it helps you recover more quickly from setbacks and keeps you motivated to keep going. Part of building a consistent mindset also involves setting realistic expectations. Many people struggle with consistency because they set themselves up for failure by setting unrealistic goals or expecting instant results. When progress doesn't come as quickly as they hoped, they become discouraged and give up. The key to sustaining consistency is to set achievable, realistic goals that you can work toward over time. Break down large goals into smaller, manageable steps, and give yourself credit for each small victory along the way. By setting realistic expectations, you avoid the disappointment that can come from unrealistic goals, and you create a more sustainable path to success. It's also important to recognize that consistency requires patience. In today's fast-paced world, we're often conditioned to expect instant results. But the truth is, most worthwhile achievements take time. Whether you're building a business, working toward a fitness goal, or developing a new skill, success doesn't happen overnight. Building lasting consistency requires a patience to keep going, even when you can't see immediate results. The key is to stay focused on the process rather than the end result. Understand that every small step you take is part of a much larger journey, and trust that your efforts will pay off over time. Patience is a critical mindset shift that will help you stay consistent, even when the progress feels slow. One mindset shift that can also help you build consistency is embracing the idea of incremental improvement. Instead of striving for perfection, focus on making small, continuous improvements each day. Perfectionism can be paralyzing and lead to procrastination, making it harder to stay consistent. But when you focus on progress rather than perfection, you free yourself from the pressure of needing to be perfect all the time. Every small improvement counts, and over time, these incremental changes add up to significant progress. By adopting this mindset, you can stay consistent and continue moving forward, even when things don't go perfectly. Another important aspect of consistency is developing mental toughness. Mental toughness is the ability to stay focused, disciplined, and resilient, even in the face of adversity. Building mental toughness is crucial for maintaining consistency, especially when things get tough. It's easy to show up when everything is going smoothly, but true consistency is tested during difficult times. Developing mental toughness involves learning how to stay calm under pressure, how to keep going when motivation is low, and how to maintain your focus on your goals even when obstacles arise. Mental toughness doesn't mean never feeling frustrated or overwhelmed. It means acknowledging those feelings, but not allowing them to stop you from moving forward. Building mental toughness also requires the ability to embrace discomfort. Growth and progress are often accompanied by discomfort, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. When you're consistent, you will inevitably face moments of discomfort, but it's in these moments that your mental toughness is tested. Instead of avoiding discomfort, embrace it as part of the process. Know that pushing through discomfort will lead to growth, and that every uncomfortable moment brings you closer to your goal. By building your tolerance for discomfort, you become more resilient, which makes it easier to maintain consistency over time. Finally, a consistent mindset is about maintaining a positive attitude. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned, but a positive attitude helps you stay motivated and focus on a long-term goal. When challenges arise, instead of focusing on what's going wrong, focus on what you can control and what's going right. Stay optimistic about the process and remind yourself that progress is happening, even if it's not immediately visible. A positive mindset allows you to stay consistent because it helps you remain motivated and hopeful, even during challenging times. Building a consistent mindset is just as important as building consistent habits. The way you think about yourself, your goals, and the challenges you face will determine your ability to stay consistent over time. By cultivating a growth mindset, practicing self-compassion, setting realistic expectations, embracing patience, and building mental toughness, you create the foundation for lasting consistency. Remember that consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process, no matter what obstacles come your way. With the right mindset, you'll find that consistency becomes second nature, and your goals will begin to fall into place. One of the most effective ways to build and maintain consistency is by tracking your progress. It might seem like a small or unnecessary task, but tracking your efforts can provide significant motivation, a sense of accomplishment, and valuable insights into your growth. We often get caught up in the idea that progress is something grand and immediately visible, but progress is often made in small, consistent actions. By tracking your progress, you gain a clearer understanding of the incremental steps you're taking toward your larger goal, and it helps you stay motivated even on days when things seem slow. The first benefit of tracking your progress is that it allows you to see how far you've come. It's easy to become discouraged when you don't see immediate results, but when you track your actions, you can clearly see that your efforts are adding up. Whether it's keeping a journal, using an app, or marking off a calendar, seeing each small win and each completed task is a reminder that you're moving forward. Even if it feels like your goal is far away, tracking helps you realize that each day you're one step closer to where you want to be. It allows you to celebrate the small victories, which are just as important as the big wins. These small moments of success give you the momentum to keep pushing forward. Additionally, tracking your progress helps you stay accountable to your goals. When you write down your actions or mark off tasks, you create a visual representation of your commitment. This visual record serves as a reminder of your goals and reinforces your dedication. It holds you accountable to your own promises, especially on days when you feel less motivated or when distractions are tempting you to stray from your path. Seeing your progress tracked in front of you reminds you of the commitment you made and why you started in the first place. It's a simple yet powerful tool to keep you aligned with your goals, especially when motivation is low. Moreover, tracking helps you identify patterns and make adjustments to your approach. If you're consistently tracking your actions, you'll be able to identify what's working and what's not. Maybe you find that you're not making as much progress as you thought, or perhaps certain habits aren't as effective as you hoped. With this information, you can adjust your strategy to be more effective. Tracking gives you the opportunity to assess where you are, figure out what's helping you stay consistent, and make changes to improve your approach. For example, if you notice that you're consistently skipping a particular habit, you might want to shift the time or approach to make it easier to stick with. Tracking provides data that can inform your decisions and ensure that you stay on the right path toward your goal. Tracking your progress also makes it easier to stay focused on your long-term vision. It can be easy to get lost in the day-to-day grind, especially when you're working toward a big goal. When you track your progress, you create a roadmap for your success. Each small action, every task completed, and every milestone reached is a reminder of why you're doing what you're doing. It keeps you connected to the bigger picture and reminds you that the work you're putting in today is laying the foundation for the future. Instead of getting caught up in short-term frustrations, tracking helps you see the long-term impact of your efforts. One important thing to keep in mind when tracking your progress is that it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to track every single detail of your day or obsess over the numbers. The point of tracking is to make sure you stay connected to your goals, and it's about doing it in a way that works for you. For example, if you're working toward a fitness goal, you can track the number of workouts you complete each week or the amount of weight you lift. If you're working on a writing goal, you can track the number of words you write per day or the number of pages you complete. Keeping it simple and realistic helps you stay consistent without feeling overwhelmed by the tracking process. While tracking is a great tool for staying consistent, it's also important to remember that progress isn't always linear. There will be times when you feel like you're moving forward quickly, and other times when it seems like you're stuck or taking steps backward. This is normal. Success doesn't follow a straight line, and some days will feel harder than others. Tracking doesn't just help you see the big wins. It also helps you recognize when things aren't going as smoothly. If you track your progress regularly, you'll be able to spot any patterns that could indicate something is off, such as a sudden decrease in performance or missed routine. When you spot these moments, you can make adjustments, figure out what's causing the dip, and get back on track more easily. In addition to tracking your progress, it's essential to celebrate your wins along the way. Progress, no matter how small, deserves recognition. Celebrating your achievements, whether big or small, boosts your motivation and reinforces your commitment to your goals. It can be as simple as acknowledging your efforts at the end of the week or rewarding yourself with a small treat when you reach a milestone. Celebrating your progress doesn't just make the journey more enjoyable. It also builds confidence and reinforces a habit of consistency. Another important aspect of tracking your progress is that it helps you stay realistic with your expectations. Sometimes we set goals that are overly ambitious, expecting quick results. But progress takes time, and it's important to be patient with yourself. Tracking helps you stay grounded and manage your expectations. It allows you to see that progress is happening, even if it's slower than you'd like, and it encourages
One way to make sure
your
your
goals
goals
are actionable is by following the SMART criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific goals are clear and precise, so you know exactly what you need to do. Measurable goals allow you to track your progress, so you can see how far you've come and stay motivated. Achievable goals are realistic and within your reach, so you don't set yourself up for failure. Relevant goals align with your values and long-term vision, ensuring that your efforts are directed toward things that matter to you. Time-bound goals have a deadline, which helps create a sense of urgency and keeps you focused on making steady progress. Once your goals are clear and actionable, the next step is to create a system that supports them. Systems are the structures, routines, and processes that help you achieve your goals over time. When you create a system, you make it easier to stay consistent because you have a clear structure in place to follow. Systems can include routines, scheduling, reminders, or accountability mechanisms. For example, if your goal is to write a book, your system can involve setting aside specific times each day for writing, tracking your word count, and using a writing app that sends you reminders to stay on track. When you have a system in place, you don't need to rely on motivation to get started. The system guides you toward your goal. Accountability is another important factor in sustaining long-term consistency. When you're held accountable to someone else, whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a colleague, you're more likely to stay consistent with your actions. Accountability can take many forms, whether it's a weekly check-in, a public commitment, or simply telling someone your goals. When you know someone else is counting on you to follow through, you're more likely to stay on track, even when motivation is low. Sharing your goals with someone else creates a sense of responsibility and makes it harder to procrastinate or give up. If you don't have someone to hold you accountable, find ways to create accountability for yourself. One way to do this is by tracking your progress and sharing it with others. For example, you could join a group of like-minded individuals who share similar goals or post about your progress on social media. Tracking your progress and sharing it publicly increases your commitment to consistency, as it adds an element of transparency and accountability. The more you engage with your goals in a public way, the more likely you are to stay consistent. Resilience is another important quality to cultivate when working toward long-term consistency. Life will inevitably present obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected challenges along the way. Your ability to bounce back from these difficulties is what will help you maintain consistency and keep moving forward. Resilience is about maintaining a positive attitude in the face of adversity and staying focused on your long-term goals, even when things aren't going well. It's about finding solutions to problems and keeping a growth mindset rather than getting discouraged or giving up when things don't go as planned. When you build resilience, you develop the strength to keep pushing forward, even during tough times. Finally, remember that consistency doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up, doing the work, and staying focused on the long-term picture. There will be days when you slip up or miss a task, but that doesn't mean you failed. The key is to get back on track as soon as possible and continue moving forward. Progress, not perfection, is what matters. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. The more you keep showing up and putting in effort, the more you'll build a momentum that will eventually lead to success. Long-term consistency is about more than just staying motivated. It's about building systems, habits, and resilience that support your growth over time. By focusing on small, consistent actions, setting clear goals, creating a supportive system, and embracing challenges, you can build a consistency you need to achieve long-term success. Keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Trust the process, and stay committed to showing up even when motivation is low. Over time, the compound effect of your efforts will lead to the success you've been working toward. Building long-term consistency is a process that involves much more than just staying focused on the task at hand. It's about aligning your habits, mindset, and actions with your ultimate goals. As you continue to pursue your objectives, you'll encounter moments when your motivation seems to wane, or when distractions and setbacks threaten to derail your efforts. During these times, consistency can feel like an uphill battle. However, it's precisely during these difficult moments that consistency becomes essential. The good news is that with a few strategic shifts in mindset and behavior, you can learn how to persevere, push through the obstacles, and make consistency a natural part of your life. The first step in maintaining long-term consistency is learning to manage your expectations. Far too often, people start out with unrealistic expectations about how quickly they can achieve their goals. Whether it's in fitness, career development, or personal growth, we often set out with a sense of urgency, believing that results should come fast. This mindset can lead to burnout, frustration, and ultimately, giving up when things don't go according to plan. To build lasting consistency, it's crucial to have realistic expectations about the pace of progress. Long-term success is a marathon, not a sprint. The goals you set should be ambitious, but they should also be achievable over time. This means breaking down larger goals into smaller, more manageable milestones that you can accomplish on a regular basis. Celebrate each of these milestones, no matter how small, and understand that every step you take brings you closer to your ultimate goal. Realizing that progress is often incremental will help you stay consistent, as you won't be discouraged by the slow pace of change. Instead, you'll find motivation in knowing that steady effort will lead to lasting results. Another critical factor in maintaining consistency over the long haul is developing resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, stay optimistic in the face of challenges, and continue pursuing your goals even when you encounter obstacles. Life is unpredictable, and you will face challenges that seem insurmountable at times. There will be days when you feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. Resilience doesn't mean you'll never feel these emotions. It means you're able to recognize them, process them, and move forward despite them. To build resilience, start by adopting a mindset that views setbacks as opportunities for growth. When things don't go as planned, instead of giving up, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Use these moments of failure or frustration as a chance to adjust your approach. For example, if you've been working toward a fitness goal and miss a few workouts, don't beat yourself up. Instead, take a step back, reevaluate your routine, and figure out how you can adjust to overcome any obstacles that are standing in your way. Resilience is about the willingness to keep learning and adapting. As you work on developing resilience, remember that it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up. Consistency is less about perfection and more about perseverance. When you experience a setback, it's okay to take a break, recharge, and then come back with renewed focus. Resilience and consistency go hand in hand. Both are about showing up every day, regardless of the challenges, in addition to organizing your physical space. Be mindful of the people and influences you surround yourself with. If the people in your life are not supportive of your goals or are constantly distracting you, it may be time to set boundaries. Surround yourself with individuals who encourage you, hold you accountable, and inspire you to do your best. Having a strong support system in place will make it easier to stay consistent, as you'll be able to lean on others for motivation and guidance during tough times. Digital distractions are another major obstacle to consistency, especially in today's hyper-connected world. Social media, email, and other digital platforms can easily divert your attention and prevent you from staying focused on your goals. To combat this, establish boundaries for your digital consumption. Set specific times during the day to check your emails or scroll through social media, and avoid these distractions during your dedicated work periods. Consider using tools like website blockers or apps that help you stay focused. By limiting digital distractions, you can create an environment that supports your ability to stay consistent and work toward your goals without interruption. Creating a supportive environment also means fostering healthy habits that contribute to your overall well-being. Physical health plays a major role in maintaining consistency, as it impacts your energy levels, focus, and mental clarity. Make sure to prioritize sleep, exercise, and nutrition as part of your daily routine. When you take care of your body, you're better equipped to handle challenges and maintain the energy needed to stay consistent. If you neglect your health, you may find yourself feeling fatigued, unmotivated, or unable to focus, making it much harder to stay on track. Beyond the physical aspect, mental and emotional health is also important for long-term consistency. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, or other stress reduction techniques can help you manage anxiety, stay focused, and maintain a positive outlook. The more mentally and emotionally grounded you are, the easier it will be to stay consistent in the face of challenges. Accountability is another key factor in building and maintaining consistency over the long term. When you have someone to hold you accountable, you are more likely to stay on track with your goals. This could be a friend, family member, mentor, or colleague who checks in on your progress and provides encouragement. Knowing that someone is watching your progress and expecting you to follow through creates a sense of responsibility and motivation that makes it easier to stay consistent. If you don't have an accountability partner, find ways to create accountability for yourself. Keep a progress journal or share your goals publicly to increase your commitment. For example, you could write about your goals and progress on social media or start a blog to document your journey. When you share your goals with others, it creates an additional layer of accountability, which can motivate you to stay on track. Another helpful tip is to celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Building long-term consistency requires patience, and you may not see immediate results, but that doesn't mean your efforts aren't paying off. Take time to recognize the progress you've made, whether it's a small victory or a major milestone. Celebrating these wins helps reinforce your commitment and keeps you motivated, especially during the more difficult times. Finally, remember that consistency is about progress, not perfection. It's easy to get discouraged if things don't go perfectly, but consistency is about showing up, doing the work, and adjusting along the way. Every effort you make, no matter how small, adds up over time and brings you closer to your goals. Don't be too hard on yourself if things don't go as planned. Instead, focus on the small, consistent actions that will keep you moving forward and trust that the results will come in time. In conclusion, building long-term consistency is a process that requires patience, resilience, and support. By setting realistic expectations, creating a supportive environment, developing habits, and holding yourself accountable, you can stay committed to your goals over the long term. Understand that progress is incremental, and stay focused on the daily actions that will eventually lead to success. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance and staying the course, no matter the obstacles. Building consistency in your life isn't just about showing up day after day and performing tasks. It's about building sustainable routines that support your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, while also aligning with your goals and values. Many people struggle with consistency because they don't account for how their internal state, such as their mindset, energy levels, and emotional health, affects their ability to stay on track. Without this foundational work, even the most well-structured plans can fall apart. To truly master consistency, you need to make sure that the routines and habits you create support all aspects of your well-being. One of the first steps in this process is to prioritize self-care. When you're building consistency, it's easy to focus solely on achieving results, pushing yourself to work hard, and expecting quick success. But if you're constantly running on empty, you won't be able to sustain long-term effort. In fact, neglecting your mental, emotional, and physical health can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and a lack of motivation. If you want to stay consistent, you need to take care of yourself first. This includes getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, eating nourishing foods, and making time for relaxation and activities that recharge your energy. Taking care of your health isn't just about preventing burnout, though. When you prioritize self-care, you create a foundation for success. Healthy habits lead to higher energy levels, improved mood, and better focus, all of which are crucial for maintaining consistency. For example, when you eat a balanced diet and exercise regularly, you feel more energized and motivated to tackle your goals. When you don't take care of your physical health, however, you're more likely to experience
Setting
fatigue,
clear boundaries
irritability,
is
and a
essential
lack
for
of
maintaining
motivation,
consistency,
making it harder to stay
protecting your
consistent.
time and energy.
By building self-care
Setting
into your
boundaries
routine,
means saying no
you're setting yourself
when you
up for
need to,
long-term success.
whether it's a social engagement,
Another
a work
important
request,
aspect of
or a
building
distraction that
consistency
pulls you
is
away from
setting
your priorities.
boundaries. It
In our
also means
hyper-connected
setting
world,
limits on how
it's
much
easy
time
to
you
get
spend on
overwhelmed
certain
by
activities,
external demands,
like
checking
distractions,
email,
or scrolling
whether it's
through
constant
social media.
emails, social media
Creating a clear
notifications,
boundary
or
around
requests
these
from friends and
activities
family
helps you stay focused
These
on
external
what really
factors can
matters.
eat away at your
When
time
you're able
and
to protect
energy,
your time and
leaving you
energy,
less focused and
you can
consistent
stay
in your
consistent with the
efforts.
habits and goals that are most important to you. Setting boundaries is an essential part of building consistency because it helps you eliminate distractions and stay focused on the tasks that move you closer to your goals. One of the most effective ways to maintain long-term consistency is to develop a sense of accountability. When you're accountable to others, you're more likely to stay consistent with your actions. Accountability creates a sense of responsibility and ensures that you stay on track with your goals, even when motivation is low. If you're working toward a big goal, such as writing a book, building a business, or getting fit, having someone to hold you accountable can make all the difference. Accountability partners can help you stay motivated, provide encouragement, and help you problem solve when obstacles arise. If you don't have someone in your life who can hold you accountable, consider finding a mentor, coach, or joining a group of like-minded individuals who share similar goals. One reason accountability is so powerful is because it creates external pressure to follow through. It's easy to let ourselves off the hook when there's no one else involved, but knowing that someone else is expecting you to show up encourages you to follow through with your commitments. Accountability partners can also provide a sense of camaraderie, reminding you that you're not alone in your efforts. This connection with others can make your journey toward consistency feel more manageable and less isolating. Tracking your progress is another essential tool for building long-term consistency. When you track your efforts, you're able to see how far you've come, which reinforces your commitment to your goals. Tracking gives you concrete evidence of your progress, helping you stay motivated, even on the days when it feels like you're not making much headway. Whether it's keeping a journal, using an app, or marking progress on a calendar, having a way to track your progress allows you to stay focused and consistent. For example, if you're working toward a fitness goal, tracking your workouts and the improvements you're seeing in your strength, endurance, or flexibility will keep you motivated. If you're working on a creative project, tracking the time you spend on it or the milestones you hit can remind you of your dedication. The act of tracking progress helps you see that your efforts are making a difference, even when you're not yet seeing the big results you expect. When you track your progress, you're able to appreciate the small wins along the way, which helps you stay consistent. When you're focused on building consistency, one of the best things you can do is make your goals specific and achievable. Vague goals like, I want to be healthier or I want to be more productive, are difficult to measure and even harder to stay consistent with. Specific, measurable goals give you a clear target to aim for and allow you to track your progress along the way. For example, instead of simply saying you want to be healthier, set a specific goal like, I will work out 3 times a week for 30 minutes, or I will eat 5 servings of vegetables every day. Specific goals are easier to break down into manageable tasks, which makes it easier to stay consistent in your efforts. Achieving long-term consistency also requires flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and there will be times when things don't go as planned. Unexpected challenges will arise, and you may face setbacks along the way. The key is to remain flexible and adapt to changing circumstances. When you're too rigid in your approach, you may become discouraged when things don't go according to plan. However, if you approach your goals with flexibility, you'll be better able to pivot when necessary and stay on track, even when things don't go as expected. Flexibility allows you to adapt your plan without giving up on your larger goal. This adaptability also involves adjusting your goals as you go along. As you work toward long-term consistency, you may find that some of your goals change or evolve based on your experiences and priorities. This is completely normal. Instead of feeling like you failed if you need to adjust your goals, view it as an opportunity to refine your path. Consistency doesn't mean staying stuck in a plan that no longer works for you. It means adapting. It's easy to get caught up in committed to your big overall vision and forget to appreciate the progress. Celebrating your successes, taking time to recognize your achievements, is crucial for maintaining even the long-term consistency. Helps you stay positive and maintain the momentum necessary. Often a result of countless small actions taken consistently over time. Long-term consistency is celebrating more than just showing wins along the way. Helps you stay motivated. It's about creating an environment and mindset that supports your commitment to the process and allows you to stay focused, resilient, and adaptable over time. By prioritizing self-care, setting clear boundaries, fostering accountability, tracking your progress, and remaining flexible, you can develop the consistency you need to achieve long-term success. Remember that the path to your goals is often nonlinear, and setbacks are a natural part of the process. Stay committed, embrace the journey, and continue taking small, consistent actions toward your dreams. Building long-term consistency requires more than just effort. It also involves overcoming the inner challenges that come with pursuing goals over time. These inner battles, such as self-doubt, fear of failure, and perfectionism, can be some of the most significant obstacles standing between you and your desired success. Understanding and addressing these challenges will help you develop the mental toughness necessary to sustain your consistency and continue moving forward, even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable. Self-doubt is one of the most common challenges people face when trying to stay consistent. When you begin working toward a new goal, you might feel excited and motivated at first. However, as time passes, doubt can start to creep in. You may question whether you're capable of achieving your goal or whether you're good enough to succeed. These doubts can stop you in your tracks and make it hard to stay consistent. The key to overcoming self-doubt is to recognize that it's normal to have these feelings, but not to let them control you. Everyone experiences doubt at some point, but the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is how they respond to it. One effective way to overcome self-doubt is by focusing on the progress you've made rather than the obstacles you face. Reflect on the small wins you've already accomplished and remind yourself of your strengths and capabilities. Keeping a record of your achievements, even the small ones, can help build confidence and provide proof of your ability to succeed. When self-doubt creeps in, look back on the positive steps you've taken and use that as fuel to continue forward. The more you recognize your accomplishments, the more you'll begin to trust yourself and your ability to be consistent. Fear of failure is another internal challenge that can prevent you from building consistency. Many people fear failure because they associate it with shame, disappointment, or inadequacy. As a result, they avoid taking action in order to protect themselves from failing. But failure is not the enemy. It's a natural part of the learning process. In fact, failure can teach you invaluable lessons that help you improve and grow. Instead of fearing failure, try to embrace it as an opportunity to learn. When you fail, ask yourself what went wrong, what you can do differently next time, and how you can adjust your approach. This mindset allows you to use failure as a stepping stone toward success rather than as an obstacle that stops you from trying. To overcome the fear of failure, it's helpful to reframe how you view mistakes. Rather than seeing them as signs of weakness, treat them as learning opportunities that bring you closer to success. When you can shift your mindset in this way, the fear of failure becomes less paralyzing and easier to overcome. Remember, failure is not a reflection of your worth or potential. It's just part of the process. By accepting failure as an inevitable step on your journey, you can develop the mental resilience necessary to stay consistent and keep moving forward. Perfectionism is another barrier that can prevent you from building consistency. Many people, especially high achievers, have an intense desire to do everything perfectly. While striving for excellence is a positive trait, perfectionism can be debilitating. The fear of not meeting your own high standards can lead to procrastination, burnout, and ultimately a lack of consistency. Perfectionism makes you so focused on doing everything flawlessly that you forget the importance of making progress, even if it's imperfect. In reality, consistency is about showing up and doing the work regularly, even if it's not perfect. You don't need to wait for the ideal circumstances or the perfect execution. Just start and make incremental progress every day. To overcome perfectionism, learn to embrace the idea of good enough. Perfection is often an illusion, and striving for it can prevent you from taking action altogether. Instead of aiming for flawlessness, focus on completing tasks to the best of your ability, but recognize that it's okay if things aren't perfect. Each effort is a step toward improvement, and the more you practice this mindset, the easier it will be to stay consistent in your efforts. In the long run, progress, not perfection, will yield better results. Another key challenge when it comes to long-term consistency is dealing with distractions. In today's fast-paced world, distractions are everywhere, from social media notifications to personal obligations to the constant flood of emails and messages. These distractions can derail your focus and prevent you from staying consistent with your goals. One of the most effective ways to combat distractions is by creating a distraction-free environment. This means turning off notifications on your phone, setting aside specific times for checking emails or social media, and organizing your workspace so that it's conducive to productivity. Setting boundaries around your time is also crucial for managing distractions. If you've committed to working on a specific task, make sure to carve out dedicated time for it and communicate that time commitment to others. Let the people around you know when you need to focus and be uninterrupted. If you need help managing distractions, consider using tools like website blockers or productivity apps that limit your time on non-essential sites. By consciously removing distractions, you make it easier to stay consistent and maintain focus on your goals. Procrastination is often a result of not addressing internal challenges like self-doubt or fear of failure. When you procrastinate, you're essentially avoiding the discomfort of taking action, often due to negative feelings about the task at hand. To overcome procrastination, start by breaking down your tasks into smaller, manageable steps. When you see the task as something that can be completed in small chunks, it becomes less overwhelming and you're more likely to take action. Also, make use of the 5-minute rule. Commit to working on a task for just 5 minutes. Often, once you begin, the momentum will carry you through, and you'll continue working well beyond the initial 5 minutes. It's also important to address the root causes of procrastination such as fear of failure, lack of motivation, or unclear goals. If you find yourself consistently procrastinating on certain tasks, take a step back and reflect on why that is. Are you afraid of failing? Do you feel overwhelmed by the task? Are you unsure where to start? By addressing these underlying issues, you can eliminate the barriers that keep you from staying consistent and move forward with greater ease. Another common challenge that prevents long-term consistency is lack of motivation, especially when you're not seeing immediate results. Motivation is often high in the early stages of pursuing a goal, but as time goes on, it can dwindle. This is when your consistency will be tested the most. To stay consistent during these times, focus on creating habits and routines that don't rely on motivation. When you build consistent habits into your routine, you don't need to rely on motivation to get started. You simply do the work because it's part of your daily life. Celebrate your small wins to maintain momentum, even when you're not seeing immediate results. Tracking your progress, no matter how small, can help you stay focused and motivated. These small wins will keep you moving forward, even during the times when motivation is low. Recognizing your progress along the way helps reinforce your commitment to your goals and provides the encouragement you need to stay consistent. Ultimately, consistency is about overcoming internal barriers and developing the mental toughness to keep moving forward no matter the challenges. Whether it's self-doubt, fear of failure, perfectionism, distractions, or procrastination, the key to long-term consistency is to acknowledge these challenges, address them head-on, and continue working toward your goals. By developing the mental resilience to overcome obstacles and stay focused, you'll find that consistency becomes easier over time. The more you practice showing up, even when it's tough, the more natural consistency will become, and the closer you'll get to achieving the success you desire. To maintain long-term consistency, it's not enough to simply keep showing up. You need to cultivate a mindset and a set of habits that ensure your efforts are sustainable. This is where creating routines and setting up systems come into play. Establishing effective routines and systems allows you to stay on track without needing constant motivation or willpower. It's a foundation that helps you stay consistent in the long run, even during challenging times. The first step in building routines and systems that support long-term consistency is to make them as easy and effortless as possible. One of the main reasons people struggle with consistency is that they try to do too much too soon. They set overly ambitious goals or create complex systems that are difficult to maintain. This can lead to burnout, frustration, and ultimately inconsistency. To avoid this, start by simplifying your routines and gradually building up the bigger tasks. One way to make your routines easier to maintain is by focusing on the most important tasks first. Identify the actions that will have the most significant impact on your goals and make them a priority. If you're trying to build a business, for example, focus on revenue-generating activities before adding less essential tasks. If you're working toward a fitness goal, prioritize regular workouts before perfecting your nutrition plan. By focusing on the core habits that will move you forward, you avoid the overwhelm of trying to do everything at once. It's the small, consistent actions that ultimately lead to big results. Once you've identified the key habits or tasks you want to focus on, integrate them into your daily routine. Creating a daily schedule that includes these actions helps you build consistency without having to think about it. The more your routine becomes ingrained in your day-to-day life, the less effort it will take to maintain. For instance, if you're aiming to write a book, set aside a specific time each day to write, even if it's only for 20 minutes. Over time, it will become part of your routine, and you'll find it much easier to stick to it. Creating a routine also reduces the decision fatigue that often leads to procrastination. When you have a set routine, you don't have to waste time figuring out what to do next. You simply follow the plan. The key to sustainable routines is consistency, not perfection. There will be days when you miss a workout, skip a task, or feel like you're not making enough progress. These moments are inevitable, but they don't have to derail your efforts. The goal is to get back on track as quickly as possible and keep moving forward. Rather than beating yourself up over small slip-ups, focus on your long-term vision and the habits you're working to build. Remember, consistency is about showing up regularly, not being perfect every time. In addition to routines, systems are an essential part of maintaining long-term consistency. Systems are the structures you put in place to streamline your efforts and make your actions more efficient. They help you stay organized and ensure you're using your time and energy effectively. For example, if you're working on a big project, break it down into smaller, manageable tasks and create a system for tracking your progress. This might involve setting deadlines, creating checklists, or using project management tools to keep everything organized. By setting up systems that work for you, you eliminate unnecessary obstacles and make it easier to stay consistent. One of the most effective ways to create a sustainable system is by automating as much as possible. This can be as simple as setting up recurring reminders, using apps to schedule your tasks, or delegating non-essential tasks to others. Automation removes the need for constant decision-making and helps you stay on track even when life gets busy. For instance, if you're working on building a fitness routine, you can automate your workouts by scheduling them in your calendar. If you're trying to write a book, you can set daily word count targets and use apps to track your progress. By automating parts of your system, you reduce the mental load of remembering everything and can focus more on doing the work. Another important aspect of building sustainable routines and systems is tracking your progress. Keeping track of your efforts helps you see how far you've come and provides valuable insight into what's working and what isn't. This allows you to adjust your approach as needed and ensures that you stay consistent over time. Whether you use a journal, an app, or a spreadsheet, tracking your progress helps you stay accountable to yourself and provides motivation to keep going. Tracking doesn't have to be complicated. If your goal is to improve your fitness, simply track the number of workouts you complete each week. If you're working on a creative project, track the time you spend on it or the milestones you achieve. This record of progress serves as a reminder that your efforts are paying off, even if you don't see immediate results. By tracking your progress, you stay motivated to keep going and ensure that you're staying consistent in your efforts. While routines and systems are essential for building long-term consistency, it's equally important to remain flexible. Life is unpredictable, and there will be times when your plans don't go as expected. Whether it's a personal emergency, a work crisis, or a health issue, setbacks are a natural part of life. The key is to remain adaptable and adjust your routines and systems when needed. Flexibility allows you to keep moving forward, even when things don't go as planned. If you miss a day or fall behind on a goal, don't get discouraged. Simply adjust your plan and keep going. Long-term consistency isn't about sticking rigidly to a schedule. It's about finding a way to stay on track, even when life throws curveballs your way. Another important aspect of staying consistent is self-compassion. It's easy to get frustrated with yourself when things don't go as planned, but being too hard on yourself only makes it harder to stay motivated. Instead, practice self-compassion and recognize that consistency is a process that takes time. Don't expect yourself with the same kindness and don't punish yourself for small setbacks. A friend. When you can approach your goals with patience and self-compassion, you're more likely to stay consistent and keep making progress, even on the difficult days. To build sustainable routines and systems, it's also important to recognize the role of rest and recovery. Consistency doesn't mean working nonstop without taking breaks. In fact, rest and recovery are essential for maintaining your energy levels, preventing burnout, and ensuring that you can keep going over the long term. Make sure to incorporate regular breaks into your daily routine and take time off when needed, whether it's taking a weekend off, going on vacation, or simply relaxing for a few hours. Rest is necessary for replenishing your energy and maintaining consistency in the long run. Without proper rest, your body and mind will become fatigued, making it harder to stay consistent and focus on your goals. Lastly, remember that building long-term consistency is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and persistence. There will be highs and lows, but as long as you keep showing up and doing the work, you will continue to make progress. The key to success is not perfection. It's consistent, focused effort, day in and day out. By building sustainable routines and systems, being flexible when needed, and practicing self-compassion, you can stay on track and continue to make strides toward your goals, no matter the challenges that arise along the way. Consistency, while essential for long-term success, can sometimes feel like an uphill battle. There will be moments when you want to give up, when motivation is nowhere to be found, and when the obstacles seem too overwhelming to overcome. During these times, it's important to remember that true consistency is about persistence and resilience. It's about showing up even when it feels difficult, and about continuing to put in the work despite the setbacks. The most successful people aren't those who never face challenges. They're the ones who are able to persevere through tough times and stay committed to their goals. One of the biggest challenges to maintaining consistency is the temptation to quit when things aren't going as planned. Whether it's because progress is slower than expected or because you encounter setbacks, it's easy to get discouraged and want to give up. However, it's in these moments that persistence is most important. Remember that success is rarely immediate, and most of the time, it comes after a series of small, steady actions. The key to staying consistent is to focus on the process rather than the outcome. The more you focus on taking small, consistent steps, the more you'll build the momentum necessary to achieve your goal, regardless of how long it takes. One effective way to persevere through tough times is by reframing your perspective. Instead of viewing obstacles as signs of failure, try to see them as opportunities for growth. Challenges are a natural part of any journey, and they often provide valuable lessons that help you become better and more resilient. For example, if you miss a workout or fall behind on a project, rather than beating yourself up, ask yourself what you can learn from the situation. Can you adjust your approach? Can you make changes to your routine or habits to help you stay on track? When you change your perspective from one of defeat to one of learning, it becomes much easier to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. One of the most important aspects of staying consistent is developing emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to stay positive and focused, even in the face of setbacks, disappointments, or difficult situations. When you're emotionally resilient, you don't let negative emotions or external circumstances derail your progress. Instead, you bounce back, refocus, and continue moving forward with determination. Building emotional resilience requires practice, but it's something you can develop over time. A key component of emotional resilience is learning how to manage negative emotions like frustration, fear, and anxiety. These emotions are a natural part of the process when pursuing goals, but they can sometimes overwhelm you if not managed properly. To build emotional resilience, it's important to recognize and accept these emotions without letting them control your actions. Instead of letting frustration or fear prevent you from moving forward, acknowledge the feeling, process it, and then refocus on your goal. Techniques like mindfulness, deep breathing, and meditation can help you manage your emotions and stay calm during challenging times. Another important aspect of staying consistent is learning how to celebrate small wins along the way. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become fixated on the end goal and overlook the progress you've made. However, celebrating small victories is an essential part of maintaining motivation and perseverance. Each small step you take brings you closer to your goal, and each victory, no matter how minor, is a sign that you're making progress. Take time to celebrate these milestones, whether it's completing a task, hitting a target, or simply sticking to your routine for a certain period of time. Acknowledging your progress helps reinforce your commitment to the process and keeps you motivated to continue working toward your bigger goals. Another effective way to stay consistent is by building accountability into your journey. Accountability helps keep you on track, especially during times when your motivation is low. When you're accountable to someone else, whether it's a friend, a mentor, or a colleague, you're more likely to stay committed to your goals. Accountability creates an external layer of responsibility that can be the push you need to continue moving forward, even when it's hard. If you don't have someone to hold you accountable, there are still ways to create accountability for yourself. For example, you could track your progress publicly, whether it's by posting about it on social media, sharing your progress with a group, or keeping a detailed record of your efforts. The act of sharing your progress with others creates a sense of responsibility, which can motivate you to keep going. You can also set up rewards for yourself when you hit certain milestones, as a way of acknowledging your hard work and maintaining your commitment to the process. At the heart of consistency is the ability to push through discomfort. Achieving your goals often requires stepping out of your comfort zone and doing things that are challenging or unfamiliar. This can be difficult, especially when you encounter resistance. However, the more you push through discomfort and continue to take action, the easier it becomes to stay consistent. The discomfort you feel is often a sign that you are growing and pushing yourself towards something greater. Instead of avoiding discomfort, embrace it as part of the process and use it as fuel to keep moving forward. Another critical aspect of perseverance is setting realistic expectations for yourself. It's easy to become discouraged if your goals are too ambitious or if you expect instant results. While it's important to aim high, it's equally important to set goals that are achievable and to recognize that success takes time. Instead of expecting perfection or rapid progress, focus on consistent effort and incremental improvements. Break your larger goals into smaller, more manageable tasks, and celebrate each step you take. By managing your expectations and focusing on progress rather than perfection, you'll find it easier to stay consistent and motivated, even when things take longer than expected. Sometimes, staying consistent means simply sticking to your routines, even when you don't feel like it. Consistency isn't about motivation or inspiration. It's about making the decision to show up every day and put in the effort regardless of how you feel. There will be days when you don't feel inspired or when you don't feel like working, but true consistency is about doing the work anyway. This is where discipline becomes essential. Discipline is the ability to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. It's the muscle that keeps you showing up, no matter the circumstances, and helps you maintain focus and consistency over the long term. Finally, remember that consistency isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up, doing the work, and continuing to push forward, even when it's hard. Perfectionism can often hold you back from taking action, but consistency is about making progress, not being perfect. Every step you take, every action you complete, brings you closer to your goal. Don't get discouraged by setbacks or imperfections. Keep focusing on the process and trust that your efforts will pay off over time. In conclusion, perseverance and consistency are at the heart of achieving long-term success. The ability to push through obstacles, manage your emotions, celebrate small wins, and stay accountable will keep you moving forward, even when the going gets tough. Success is built through persistence and resilience, not perfection. When you stay consistent and keep showing up, no matter what challenges arise, you'll eventually reach your goals. The key is to keep pushing forward, one step at a time, and trust that the work you're putting in today will lead to the success you desire in the future. As you continue on the path of consistency, it's essential to not just focus on the big goals, but also to appreciate the small moments and changes that compound over time. The truth is that success is often built on tiny, incremental actions taken day by day. However, recognizing this truth doesn't make the process any less challenging. In fact, it's easy to get frustrated or disheartened when you feel like you're not making enough progress, especially when you're working toward a long-term goal. It's easy to overlook the slow, steady progress and instead feel as though you're falling short. The key to maintaining consistency in the long run is developing a deep sense of patience. Patience is not about waiting passively for results to come. It's about continuing to show up and putting in the work, even when the results aren't immediately apparent. The path to success is rarely straightforward, and it's important to accept that it's a marathon, not a sprint. The compounding effect of consistent actions will eventually lead to remarkable results, but that only happens if you stay the course. One of the best ways to keep yourself on track, even when progress seems slow, is to keep your focus on the process itself. Focusing on the how rather than the why can help you stay present and engage with the task at hand. When you focus too much on the end result, it can be easy to become discouraged if you don't see the results quickly. Instead, find joy in the process of doing the work. Whether it's writing a chapter every day, taking one step toward a fitness goal, or making incremental improvements in your business, focus on the satisfaction that comes from doing the work itself. Over time, this focus on the process will help you build momentum and maintain your consistency, even when results are delayed. Similarly, it's crucial to be kind to yourself during the moments when things aren't going as planned. You will encounter setbacks along the way, whether it's missing a day at work, failing to meet a goal, or facing unexpected challenges. During these times, self-compassion is key. Be gentle with yourself and recognize that setbacks are a normal part of the journey. Instead of criticizing yourself for mistakes or missing deadlines, shift your focus to what you can do moving forward. Practicing self-compassion will help you stay resilient, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward. It also helps you avoid getting stuck in a cycle of negative self-talk, which can undermine your confidence and motivation. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about doing your best each day, even if you fall short. Perfectionism often makes it harder to stay consistent because it sets unrealistic standards. When you feel like you have to do everything perfectly, it becomes easier to procrastinate or quit altogether. The key to consistency is to focus on progress, not perfection. It's about taking consistent, imperfect action and learning from your mistakes along the way. Rather than waiting for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions, take action now and adjust as you go. Each small step forward counts, even if it's not perfect. Another critical aspect of staying consistent is learning to manage your energy, not just your time. Many people make the mistake of thinking that consistency means working all the time, pushing themselves to their limits every day. But this approach is unsustainable and can quickly lead to burnout. Instead, focus on managing your energy levels to ensure that you can consistently show up and do your best work. This means prioritizing rest, sleep, and self-care so that you have the physical and mental energy necessary to stay consistent in the long run. It's also important to find ways to stay inspired along the way. Motivation can ebb and flow, and there will be days when it's hard to muster the energy to keep going. During these times, it can help to reconnect with your why, the reason you started in the first place. Remind yourself of what you're working toward and why it matters to you. You can also find inspiration in the stories of others who have persevered through challenges and achieved success. Sometimes, reading a book, listening to a podcast, or speaking with someone who has experienced similar struggles can reignite your motivation and help you get back on track. Accountability is another powerful tool for staying consistent. Having someone to check in with, whether it's a friend, mentor, or accountability partner, whether it's through online
can
groups,
help you stay
in-person meetings, or
focused
social
and
motivated.
networks.
Being part of a supportive community can help you maintain your consistency. Celebrating small victories along the way is another crucial component of building long-term consistency. It's easy to become focused on the end goal and forget to acknowledge the progress you're making each day. However, celebrating small wins is an essential part of staying motivated. Accountability works because it creates a sense of responsibility to others. When you know that someone else is expecting you to show up and put in the work, you're more likely to follow through. Regular check-ins provide both support and encouragement, and they can also give you the chance to discuss any obstacles you're facing and find solutions. It's also helpful to find or create a community of like-minded individuals who are working towards similar goals. Community support is a powerful motivator. When you're surrounded by people who share your values and goals, it creates a sense of camaraderie that can make the process of staying consistent feel less lonely. The supportive community provides encouragement, perspective, and shared wisdom, making it easier to stay with your values and aspirations. Ask yourself, why did I start this goal in the first place? What am I working toward? Revisiting your why can reignite your passion and refocus your efforts. Even the most consistent people need to remind themselves of the purpose behind their work, as it's the purpose that fuels the daily grind. When you understand the why behind what you're doing, it makes the how that much easier. At times, the key to consistency is maintaining flexibility. Being consistent doesn't mean following the same rigid plan day after day. Life changes, priorities shift, and external factors influence your ability to stay on track. This is where adaptability comes into play. If something isn't working, it's okay to reassess and modify your approach. Perhaps a certain routine or habit isn't yielding the desired results, or maybe you've encountered an unexpected challenge that requires a different strategy. When this happens, avoid the temptation to feel like you failed. Instead, see it as an opportunity to recalibrate your approach. By maintaining a flexible mindset and a willingness to adjust, you'll be able to continue moving forward without feeling stuck or defeated. For instance, if you set a goal of working out every day, but find that the schedule is causing physical strain or burnout, don't be afraid to adjust your workout routine. You could switch to fewer but more intense sessions or add in more restorative practices like stretching or yoga. The key here is not to abandon consistency altogether, but to modify it in a way that better supports your well-being and long-term progress. Consistency also requires patience. particularly when it feels like you're not seeing results right away. It's easy to get discouraged when you put in hard work and don't immediately see the payoff. This is where the concept of delayed gratification comes in. Many people give up too soon because they expect fast results. But true success often requires putting in consistent effort over a long period of time before you start seeing significant returns. Whether you're building a business, learning a new skill, or developing a healthier lifestyle, it takes time for your efforts to pay off. This is why patience is one of the most important qualities to cultivate in your pursuit of consistency. Understanding that success is a process, and that you may need to wait for the seeds you planted to grow, will help you stay consistent in the face of challenges. A critical part of developing patience is learning to trust the process. Trusting the process means focusing on the actions you need to take rather than obsessing over the outcome. If you're working on a fitness goal, trust that each workout is building strength, even if the scale doesn't change right away. If you're building a business, trust that the small steps you take every day are contributing to long-term growth. When you shift your focus from immediate results to the process itself, you'll be able to maintain your consistency and feel more motivated to keep going, even when progress seems slow. Furthermore, remember that consistency is not about being flawless. It's about showing up day after day and making incremental progress toward your goals. Perfectionism can easily undermine consistency because it creates an unrealistic standard that is nearly impossible to meet. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Celebrate the small wins along the way, and recognize that each action, no matter how small, brings you closer to your ultimate goal. When you focus on the small victories, you build momentum, and that momentum makes consistency easier to maintain. One of the most powerful tools in maintaining long-term consistency is creating a supportive environment. Surround yourself with people who encourage your goals and provide positive reinforcement. This might include friends, family, mentors, or colleagues who share your values or are working towards similar goals. A supportive environment doesn't just help keep you motivated, it also helps you stay accountable. When you have people to check in with, whether it's about your goals or your progress, you're more likely to stay consistent and keep working toward your objectives. Another aspect of supportive environment is setting up systems that make consistency easier. For example, if you're trying to improve your productivity, you could set up your workspace in a way that minimizes distractions and helps you focus. If you're working on a fitness goal, consider using apps that track your workouts and provide encouragement. The more systems you create that support your goals, the easier it will be to stay consistent. These systems serve as reminders to keep showing up, even when motivation isn't strong.